Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, please accept our thanks and humble gratitude for allowing us to be together today. Please watch over this council, make the right decisions for the community at large. Dear Lord, watch over Boonville and provide us insights into decisions that we have to make today and going forward. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Good evening, everybody. Roll call.
Harville.
Here.
Elbert. Venable.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Atkinson.
Here.
Young.
Here.
Yoder.
Here.
Coward.
Here.
All right. We're here. Hearing and citizen comments. Right, Pat? Are you sipping? Are you strolling? Are you rocking? Or are you rolling? Which one of the three?
She's sipping, strolling, I'm rock and rolling.
Thanks a lot, Kenny.
Okay.
Now
She's
that
rock and
you're
rolling,
with
I'm
it.
sipping,
I'm rock and
strolling.
roll.
I'm capable of both. Yeah.
Well, while we're getting started, I'll pass these around, a little information.
Thank you.
Excited about what we're continuing this year. I'll leave one for Kate.
Gotcha. I'll leave her mine. Don't let that podium fall down, Kenny.
No, it won't, it won't.
Well, Kenny and I are here. We haven't killed each other for the last 2 years, so we thought we
Yeah.
would go ahead and try one more year to be co-chairs for Sip and Strollin', Rockin' and Rollin'. And it has been such a well-received event in the community and supports great causes, the library and the Chamber of Commerce and its programs. What you have in front of you, I might just give you a real brief outline, is, of course, save the date, which we hope everybody will do, and spread the word to family and friends. It's going to be a tremendous year this year. We grow a little bit every year, had over 650, 700 people last year, up from over 500 the year before. So we're rocking and rolling up to that 1,000 mark as soon as we can. What you have on the second sheet are the street closures and parking lot closures that we're requesting. Essentially the same as last year, but with a couple of changes that I'll go over. And then a map, which is also very similar to last year, that relates to street closures, the area for open container permit that we're requesting, locations of vendors and different participants as far as those who will be vendors as for beverages as well as food. And before I rattle on about this, I'd like to just ask Kenny if he'd like to just say a few words about the successes last year.
Part of the success has been the great cooperation we have from the city. Right from the start, the council has supported this, and it couldn't happen without what you all are willing to do. And I've run into some of the vendors from last year. So we not only have really high marks from the people that come and attend, the vendors. I had one vendor tell me that this was absolutely the best place of any that he was at last year. So it was very smooth last year because of using the side streets. Everybody was happy, and there was still a really good flow up and down Main Street, and several merchants had remarked about some of the great sales that they made. So I don't know which time of the day that falls, but some of the prices might sound better about 6 o'clock or whatever. But really, then, and saying that in jest, because I don't think there's been any exhibit of anybody getting out of line. So that's been good.
And Mother Nature cut us a little bit short last year, but it really didn't dampen the enthusiasm of the people that were there. They had about 30 minutes of rocking and rolling, and then those angels and the Lord upstairs started to rock and roll with us, and we had to just kind of shut things down quickly. But we also have alternates this year set up that'll be a venue, probably a little more mingling area that would be available if we do have rain. Thespian Hall is more theater style, and we used that last year, but we have reserved the Mercantile building, which will hold up to 300. So we feel like we learn a little bit every year. And the first year we tried to line up on Main Street, which everybody that was attended loved, but it really was not the best for the merchants or for traffic. And I think having the areas on the side streets has worked extremely well. What I'd like to point out, the differences in street closures from last year. And if any of you have questions who maybe were not part of this explanation, I don't want to shortcut anything, but I also don't want to belabor points that aren't needed. On 4th Street, we had requested that the area from Spring Street to Chestnut Street be street closure from noon until midnight. However, we learned during that time that we needed to move that back to the alley right by the Hain House just to be able to serve the bank traffic that went through as far as ATM machines. So that has changed, and we're still discussing whether we close 4th Street at all, but we're looking to talk with those from Heritage Days that were involved to just see how that went as far as traffic and congestion, and also talk with the police and see if they had any concerns about that. As far as parking lot closures, last year we also reserved part of the parking lot over by the post office, but found that we really didn't need to do that. And that was just for a short period of time while vendors arrived, so that's not on the list. One thing that is added is under no parking. We didn't have the city place no parking signage along the sidewalk area the night before. Which we found the next day there were people who parked there at night but then didn't move their car. Even though the street wasn't closed until noon, we had cars that were parked in strategic places, and were advised that we couldn't do any kind of enforcement about that unless we had those no parking signs up ahead of time. So we have added that. Everything else is just about the same. The time venues are that we start setting up early in the morning, and then we have vendors come in usually from about 12 or 1 until just before 3 to set up. And with that, lots of volunteers downtown. And then from 3 until 4, we have our VIP prime time to visit with vendors, and also have special mugs that they have that are insulated, that are just great. And then from 4 to 7, it's then open to anyone who has tickets. And we do have a real stringent requirement as far as checking in, showing driver's license and identification, getting wristbands of certain colors so that anyone that comes with children, that they're identified as well as being under 21. And then at 7 o'clock, we get to rock and roll. And Kenny, I know I'm rock and rolling, but I'm going to pass the baton to you.
We have the Norm Rubling Band with brass coming in. We have that at the Hain House Gardens, and that's one of the higher people love that band. And
about how many?
There'll be eight or nine people in that band.
So good-sized band.
Yeah. So we try to have a different band every year, and then we'll have several bands or individuals on the route during the afternoon playing. So you truly will be able to sip and stroll and rock and roll.
We will again be looking to our wonderful rock stars who made contributions of $250 to help support us moving forward with the event, and we'll be making those contacts in the coming weeks, and also hanging door hangers along the way where we have suggested street closings so that everyone's notified in advance. And we'll let you know more about ticket sales and ticket outlets. We're still discussing different options about that, but looking forward to advanced sales and then also on the day of the event.
So it's two session for us to get approval, does that sound right, Ned, on this? So we would need to probably present that in 2 weeks, right? The exact
Yes, we
thing that
will.
we want.
We will
And then,
have all those details outlined, and we have our event permit, and it just needs a little tweaking with some discussion with parks and with streets. And I did speak with Kate. She said it's not necessary to have that by tonight, but that she and I have been working together on that. She said this type of information is really what you were looking for, and if you have any questions,
yes.
please let us know.
Questions from the council?
Do you have any idea on the attendance numbers from last year?
We were between 650 and 700, somewhere in there. So that was about 2 to 250 above what we did our first year. So
Awesome.
we're going to
Great.
And there was
four figures as soon as we can. We want this to become an event that's talked about all around central Missouri and as a can't miss type thing. And we poll really well from out of the area. The other amazing thing is how many people in Boonville, at least the first year, came downtown and maybe had never been downtown before, which is kind of interesting. It's great to show our city off to people in the surrounding counties. It's great to show it off to the people that live here too.
Was there any issues last, excuse me, was there any issues last year with like the affected merchants, like any complaints or anybody bring anything up?
they were thrilled, absolutely
closures?
thrilled to have. They had great business. Many of them ran special promotions and had things out on the sidewalk.
Okay.
Gordon's Jewelry, because we had a threat of rain, were giving away clear ponchos to people that came in and gave us a number at registration. So we thought it really turned out well because the weather was a little iffy that day. And it always will be, a last minute call, but we're trying to do whatever we can to accommodate even rainy times.
Great, thank you.
So we have a good clear weekend. There's Missouri's not only not playing in Columbia, they're not playing anywhere. It's a bye week for the Tigers. So it's
Check that.
and knock on wood, haven't seen anything major come up in this area that will compete against us. It's kind of nice.
So we encourage everyone to spread the word and to let you know too that we'll be looking for volunteers that day, as well as a little bit ahead of time. So anyone who's interested, please feel free to call either one of us. A big PS on all of this is the tremendous support this gives and the exposure to the library, which if you happen to be in touch with the media, you know from last week that we have signed contracts with the general contractor, and tomorrow we're cleaning out anything in the building that needs to be saved, and we'll begin working. Construction will start on the 12th, so a week from tonight. It will be fenced off, so it won't be accessible, and we appreciate so much what the city has done to help us get to this point. I've been working on it for 8 years, and it's been a long time coming, and even longer for some of the people that go back 20 years with the vision of what it could be. So we are thrilled, and thank you for that. Anything else, Kitty?
Nope, I think.
Okay. Thank you all for your support and your consideration, and if there's anything else that we have missed or you have a question about later, just let us know.
Any questions, council? Okay. Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Mary Pat. Any other citizens' comments?
Hetzie Watts, and I would really like to thank Amber and Katie. They attended our lecture and gave our lecture at the last State Farm Community Building. We have several coming up, Mike Conway, Alan Lammers, and Tina Eltholm. We've had Mr. Voldridge come in and visit with us, give us very nice information. We invite anybody and everybody to come. Sometimes we charge, sometimes we don't. It depends. If you're a government employee or a private employee, then you don't get paid. If you're a public or state or government. Anyhow, we're at the end of the Center Street on 211, and I really thank you, Amber, that you were there. It was really nice to see you and find out what the city does. The city has a lot to do. They take care of everything in this town, which is very important to the citizens of this town, and I thank you very much. And I'd like to leave you a little calendar that gives you what's going on. We'd like to see faces. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I'll
Tell us
sign
who
in.
you are.
Want me to sign in here?
Yes, please.
My name is David Bradley. I'm here on behalf of the Jesse Vertle Airport, Boonville's airport out here on I-70. You've all heard about it. I live over in New Franklin, or actually Howard County, real New Franklin. But I've been using the airport since 1976. So I sent you all pictures, I hope you've seen them, about the trash problem we have out there. And I'm not gonna, I know that that's not the image that the city of Boonville wants to put out, so I'm not gonna spend much time talking about that. As far as solutions go to that trash problem, that's up to the city. If they ask me, I would say, if you want to provide free trash service to businesses and tenants at the airport, move that dumpster inside the fence, hide it, put a fence around it, and lock it so that trash doesn't blow all over the airport. The bigger issue here is when we're talking about the trash and other issues. We all talk about we want big things out at the airport. We want to lengthen the runway. We want to build a terminal building. We want more hangars, so on and so forth. Before we can do the big things, we got to take care of the little things, like the trash, like the brush. And here's why. That airport was built with FAA grants and, in some cases, state grants. Most of it at 90% of the money, grant money, 95% for a lot of it. That was free money the city got. But for every one of those grants, the city signed assurances that they would take care of that, whatever that project was, and for however long it was supposed to last. And to get future grants for these big things, the inspectors, the FAA, we're a block grant state. Our money comes from the state. The FAA sends it directly to Jefferson City, and then they parcel it out. They're going to come look at the airport, and they're going to say, have you taken care of the assurance of your previous grants? And who knows how that'll go down. But it's a competitive process for these grants. And Boonville might find itself at the end of the line when they see, like, the dumpster, the brush that's grown up in the fence rows, which, the fences were built with grant money, the brush was cleaned out with grant money, so on and so forth, which may hinder your future ability to get a grant for these big things that we're talking about. So that's my message. There's some other people here that are going to talk on behalf of the airport. We're not looking for an adversarial relationship with the city council or the city. We no longer have an airport advisory board. You all know that. So kind of what you're seeing here tonight is an airport advisory board. And you're probably going to see over time more and more of people coming in here and saying, here's what we need to do. You know, I don't know anything. I can fly an airplane. I can teach you to fly an airplane, but after that, I'm kind of out of luck. But I know a lot of smart people, and a lot of them are tenants out at the airport, and they could really assist the city on future projects, how to approach this. I know we got to go to our consulting engineers and so on and so forth when we start dealing with the state, but they could give you some context. They could give you some ideas about how to improve and rebuild the airport. We have, out there at that airport, we have contractors, paving experts, we have engineers, we've got accountants, we've got all kinds of people that can help with that. And I hope the city we could have a relationship with some of the airport tenants that would enhance the future of the airport. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not coming back.
Thought you were going to take my place. That'd be fine with me. So I'm Bill Volbrock. I'm a tenant at the airport, like David mentioned. And I have a long name, so it's taken me a while to get in there.
How do you spell your last name?
V Victor,
Okay.
A-L-B Bravo, R-A-C-H-T.
Thank you.
Sorry for speaking aviation. So I'm a flight instructor and a tenant at the airport, like I mentioned. And what I want to talk to you a little about tonight, by the way, some of you I recognize. I offered you flights. You were out at the airport on the 11th of June, and we gave a tour to some of you. You may remember me. I was there. I'm still offering those flights, by the way. So if you want to come and take me up, we can certainly do that. Take me up on it. So I want to talk a little about economic benefit of an airport. And so I did a little bit of research, and this applies to the sip and stroll and all that too. The U.S. Department of Commerce did some study and found out that for every dollar spent in a community, the knock-on effect is $2.53, right? When somebody comes and spends some money at your events, the money trickles through the community. I'm sure you're all aware of that, but to me it just made sense to kind of do an example of that. If we, like Rob back there, went to Maggie's this evening, spent some money there, but if we have a pilot bring his family in to Boonville and they can get to Maggie's and spend $50, that money goes to the waiter, some of it goes to the kitchen, some of it goes to the cook, some of it goes to CNR when they go down and get their pickles and buns. So it makes its way through the community and has a bigger impact than just a dollar. In fact, there's a community in Michigan very much like Boonville. It's about 3 times the size. Mount Pleasant's the name of the city. And they have a casino, they have a museum, and they documented their $8 million a year they bring in because the airport is there. And what happens is pilots fly in or businesses make their operations out of the airport. So it makes a big difference. So the economic benefit is there by having more use of the airport. The problem is, or one problem is, people can't get from the airport to here. There used to be courtesy cars there at the airport that were, I think, retired police cruisers. And when pilots fly in, frequently they're stranded. So some people I've taken a few into town myself, just on my personal, in my personal vehicle, just to get them where they wanted to go. But it'd be helpful to have a courtesy car. And I guess the other thing that's lacking is awareness for pilots and others to know what Boonville has to offer. You know, the Mitchell Car Museum, for example, the Frederick Hotel. There are things in town that I think if people came here and saw, they'd want to come back. So I think a social media presence would be good. And as David mentioned, we'd be willing to provide some assistance along those lines to get the word out about the Boonville Airport and about what can be offered to pilots and others who come here. So that's my message. I've also talked with the Director of Public Works in Moberly, Sanders, Mr. Sanders, and I asked him about how he got things rolling at his airport. Moberly's got a lot of things going. New hangars, extended runway, a nice FBO, a nice facility there. And he said he'd be happy to provide whatever assistance you all might want in terms of what his experience has been. So that's my message. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, councilmen and women. I'm here with the airport as well. I'm one of the tenants out there. I fly out there quite a bit, and I'm there a lot. Wish I could be there quite a bit more. But I'm here to kind of reinforce the same point that Bill just made. The two things that I've noticed lately, traveling around to other airports, is every airport typically has a courtesy car. I can get there, I stop, I get my fuel. I'm going somewhere, but I want something to eat. I want cold drink. I can grab the courtesy car, go into town, grab a burger, grab a drink, get back to the airport, get in my plane, and keep on going where I'm headed. And the other thing, actually a story along with that. About a month ago, I was out at the airport. I needed to go to my hangar to get something. And I pulled in, and there was this plane sitting there on the ramp right by the fuel farm. And there was a guy there filling up his plane with fuel. And I went into the FBO, the building there, and his family was in there. And he had a family of 5, and they were there on the way. They were from Dallas, Texas, and they were going to Michigan. And he looked at his app, on his pilot app, and he looked, and he thought, well, Boonville's a good stop. It's right on my way, good, cheap fuel. It's a great place to stop, got a nice runway. And so he stopped there, and I walked up and started talking to him. And he said, we're just getting ready to grab the courtesy car and go for lunch. We already have a spot picked out here in Boonville, downtown. We're going to take the family in and eat. And unfortunately, I had to be the one to inform him that there was no courtesy car there to be able to take him. He was obviously disappointed in that because that was his expectation. So his family got back in the plane and they went on to Michigan. He said he did stop back by on his way home, got some more fuel. He probably bought 160 gallons of fuel. Multiply that times $5.60 or whatever. Brought some revenue in, and he would have done food run each time, he told me, if there would have been a car. So that was a little story on the courtesy car, and it happens all the time. We get a lot of people, well, where's your car? You don't have a cart, So we get that a lot. The other thing, I was just in Farmington the other day for a meeting, flew down there, and the first thing I was met with there walking into the door was this sign that they had just put up, and it says, download our app. And it was a QR code that you scan, and you download the city app, and it was a local guide, kind of like he was saying, it was a social media guide to the city. It talked about their museums and their parks that they had and their different restaurants, things like that. And I just thought of that when Bill was talking, that was a really cool app that they had put together. It was a city app, and you could get it and tour through the town, spend some time there, do whatever you wanted, see what the town had to offer. So those are the two things that I was thinking about tonight, and we've been thinking about for a while. So thanks for listening.
You bet, thank you.
What is your name?
Kendrick Troyer.
Kendrick?
Yeah, Kendrick Troyer. Sorry I didn't say that at the beginning.
Thank you.
I'm Reed Overstreet. I'm set to become a pilot, and I should probably write it down first. And I use Boonville about a couple of times a week for my flying lessons. And my only, I guess you'd call it like a safety concern for that airport is cameras. So as you guys know, planes are not cheap. And in those hangars, people put more than just airplanes in there, put other equipment, vehicles, or anything like that. And having no cameras in that airport might draw people away from not having that quality assurance or trust assurance and having any of their hobbies or fun toys, basically, what you want to call it, out there. And that was kind of just my biggest thing when I'm going out there, and I've been to other airports as well, as there's cameras. Like, I know that if something happens, I have something to fall behind it security wise, and unfortunately, Boonville doesn't have that assurance, and that was really one of my only main things I thought I would bring up. I don't know if it has been brought up, but I thought I would bring it up. So, that's all I really have.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Stephanie Overstreet. I'm one of the owners of CMMG Black Rifle and Conquest. We're tenants out at the airport. I sent an email with a picture. There's a little story. The hangars are built with some slope to them, with the concrete allowing for runoff. It's fantastic. It's wonderful until it snows. If there's no snow removal, there is no way to put your plane back into the hangar except manually. You push it. When the snow is drifting up against that door, it goes from being thinner to actually being thicker, creating more friction, slowing down the plane and making it exceptionally difficult, if not almost impossible, to get back into the hangar, which of course you pay for the use of. I was thought that it was logical that the snow removal would also fall under the heading of what the hangar fees would go towards. The runway was, the snow was removed, the taxiways, but not in front of the hangars except for one. And that's the picture that I sent where you can see the number on the door. I don't know that I necessarily want to say who it is that owns or is using that hangar. I hope that my information is incorrect of who I was told that is, because then it would be exceptionally, I think, unfair and not good that it was only removed from in front of that one hangar. This is from January 17th. It was the second time actually that this happened with the snow not being removed. And to echo everyone, my husband was born here in Boonville. 3 of my 4 children live here. We have our businesses here. We love Boonville. We think it's amazing and awesome. I love the people here. It's wonderful to see the friendliness, and we put on events. We'll have another one happening the week after Labor Day where we will bring in our customers. Over 100 of them coming from different parts of the country, getting to see this town. And some of them will be coming in through the airport. And again, to echo, I believe it was David who pointed out the need to take care of some of the things that seem small. And so I know that the snow removal everywhere seems small, but when it impacts the function of me being actually able to use the airport, when there is the function of trash not being contained and that's getting onto the runway and then creating an issue for takeoff and landing. So there's some things maintenance wise that look like they've been falling through the cracks, and I would love to see that addressed more. There's just been some things, and I understand, right, like when something's been around for a while and everybody uses it, that there can be a lack of following the rules and the guidelines and the protocols and procedures. But I think maybe a good kind of hard look, digging down and really seeing, is there anything that we could like tighten up in order to help the maintenance of making better what already exists, and then providing the means to show that we can invest more and then care for it as well. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Anyone else?
If you don't mind me putting a few words in on this. So I'll put ×2 on here. So I'm not a pilot, but I am president of the Boonville Economic Development Corporation, who you guys contract with to try to locate industry and business. So one of the things we talk to people a lot is about transportation in Boonville. Being on Interstate 70 is the greatest thing in the world, having north, south, east, west highways, having the port, having a railroad that goes through here. It'd be nice if we could make it stop better. But then you come to the highway out of the sky, and that is really, really important to us. There's no industry that ever comes here and goes, I don't care if you guys have an airport or not, because we always, take a taxi to town or whatever. So we were approached by some of these folks in the very beginning to try to support them. For one reason or another, we really couldn't come down here. We do depend on you all for support. So it was a boat that we basically couldn't rock. But we support more than you'll ever know what these folks are asking for, and for improvement and growth in the airport. I was on the city council for 4 years. I'm going to tell you the years. You'll go, God, were you like 5 years old? So it was 1977 to 1981. We hired Dave Bradley, and I believe his partner at the time was Ron Mason, to manage that airport. And it put it in a whole nother sphere, so to speak. For years, that airport really did well and grew after that. And not to say that it doesn't have good management now, but I think people that use it are really good people to listen to. And if you wonder whether or not it's important to what you pay us to do, it's very important. Thank you.
I'm Sherman Chancellor. I'm a tenant out of the airport as well, and just not to belabor all the points they've put in so far, but the economic development one's a huge point, because most of the time when you see guys flying around on jets into Columbia and to other ones, you're not just talking about decision makers, but if you're hoping to have any chance of picking up a plant, a lot of times it's technicians that are flying in to fix things. Just as an example, like 20 years ago, when we were out of Columbia, Collins and Aikman, for every hour their plant was shut down, they were losing $1 million an hour. So, yeah, a lot of times it's not like the CEOs and people going on vacation you're looking for. It's the techs who keep everybody else employed to make sure all the lines are moving along as they should be. So, just to add that to economic development. And then, as far as the trash goes, I mean, that's important because, if you take a piece of plastic down a jet engine, that's, $150,000, $200,000 on a hot section inspection right there. Not to mention the airplane's down for 3 to 4 months while you're waiting on that. So those are why those kinds of things are very important, not just for future development, but also for immediate costs where they are. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
That is something else I'd like to add, and specifically in the industry here in Boonville. I know of 2 examples. You're probably familiar with the AgriSpray plant out here. They do drones. AgriSpray is their name. They buy and sell drones to all over the place. And I told you I spent a lot of time out at the airport. I've seen 2 instances specifically. I've got the guys' phone numbers because I love meeting people and I love getting to know people. They flew their planes from other states. One of them was from Wisconsin, was a farmer. Came in and bought 2 drones. They flew into Boonville. AgriSpray brought the drones to them, loaded them up in the airplane. They went back home. The other one was from Ohio, came in and picked up his drone. We use it quite a bit too for our business. We transport people back and forth between our 2 locations of business, and there's a lot of industry out there. There's a lot of examples I don't have, but 2 things specifically that I thought of while they were talking about the money in and out of here with businesses.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, we will move on. Approval of minutes. Any changes or corrections? from the council? And they will stand as submitted. Consent items, there are none. Presentation of accounts and claims, page 6 and 7.
Ordinance appropriating money. Be it ordained by the council of the city of Boonville as follows. Section 1, for the purpose of paying salaries and various accounts against the city of Boonville, which have been allowed by the council at the regular meeting thereof on August 5th, 2024, the sum of $668,082.14. General Fund, $238,599.45. Sanitation, $46,719.19. CIP tax, there's a negative in front of that. $111,673.60. Waterworks, $155,149.82. Capital projects, $89,823.36. Wastewater, $92,450.57. Tourism, $11,441.39. Gaming, $129,422.65. Parks and Water, $16,149.31. Timber sales tax, $0.00. Economic development projects, $0.00. The accountant is hereby authorized and instructed to draw checks from the respective city bank accounts in favor of the persons whose salaries and accounts have been allowed as above, amounting to $668,082.14, being the total amount of money being appropriated. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage, first reading on August 5th, 2024, read for the second time this August 5th, 2024, since a copy was made available prior to the meeting.
Second reading, title only.
Ordinance appropriating money.
Mayor, I move that we approve this ordinance.
Okay,
I'll second it.
got a second? Okay, motion on the second. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Harville,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Atkinson,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Yoder,
Yes.
Coward.
Yes.
Passes.
Yeah. Let's read this, Drew. I was checking.
No unfinished business. New business. A, resolution R 2024-10, supporting Terra Vista Developments Incorporated Village at Kemper Greens Housing Development. It's on page 7.
A resolution of the City of Boonville, Missouri, supporting the construction of Village at Kemper Greens, a family residential community. Whereas Terra Vesta Development Corp. has proposed to develop up to 48 units of family affordable housing known as Village at Kemper Greens, located off the west side of Kemper Drive, just north of Ashley Road in the City of Boonville, Missouri. And whereas the City of Boonville recognizes the need for safe, quality, built, affordable housing for family citizens as a priority, and whereas the construction of said residential apartment community will provide affordable housing for families and will be in the best interest of the residents of Boonville, Missouri, and now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Boonville, Missouri, that support is hereby granted to Terra Vesta Development Corp. For the application of the Missouri Housing, application to the Missouri Housing Development Commission for tax credits and financing to assist the aforementioned project. Be it further resolved that the city clerk is hereby instructed to forward a copy of this resolution to the Missouri Housing Development Commission and Terra Vesta Development Corp. Passed this 5th day of August 2024 by the City Council of Boonville, Missouri.
I make a motion we approve.
Okay, got a motion?
A second.
Got a second? Questions or comments? Roll call.
Oh, hold on. I've got too many papers here. Harville,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Atkinson,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Yoder?
Yes.
Coward?
Yes.
Passes. Any unfinished business? No? New business, resolution.
Depository bank bid.
Say it again?
Depository bank bid discussion. We just passed that resolution.
Yep, you're right. Thank you. Page 99, actually, or 9. Depository bank bid discussion.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, I thought I'd go ahead and kind of update the council on what's going on. So according to state statute, we have published the bids in the city council packet for your review. City staff is continuing to review the bids. Once it is determined which bank we want to go with, we'll have a first reading on the ordinance on August the 19th. And this will be based on city staff evaluation and any comments or thoughts that you would like to provide. We are open to suggestions because of how competitive these bids really are. We received 4 bids, BTC Bank, Central Bank, First Community Bank, and Southern Bank. They vary because one of the banks is based off of the federal funds target rate, whereas the 3 other banks, their rates are based off the Treasury bill, the T-bill rates. And they are also competitive rates. 2 of the banks have a ceiling rate and a floor rate. The ceiling rate for BTC Bank is 5%, with the floor rate being 1%. And that's the same with Southern Bank. I can get into the weeds with this if you'd like, or I'd like to know if anybody's got any comments in reference to this, where you want to go with this. Like I said, we are still looking into this, and we want to take your suggestions into play.
Go.
Teresa, who are we using today?
We are using First State Community Bank.
How long have we used First State Community?
2014,
Since 2014?
Mm-hmm.
is that right?
Yes.
It's around
Yeah, we did it 14, and then we did them, we
In 18.
renewed them in 18.
In your opinion, has there been any issues with First State Community?
Not at all.
Speak up a little bit.
Sorry, I asked if there was any issues with First State.
No.
Do you have the ceiling and the floor rate for First State?
First State,
They don't have one.
they do not have one. The only ones that have the ceiling and the floor were BTC and Southern.
Do we require that in the bid?
No. Currently, the rate, as of July 1st of 2024, the T-bill rate is 5.235%. And on the federal funds target rate, as of June 28th, the rate is 5.33%. The problem is we're talking 2 separate funds. I don't know which one is riskier. We're still doing research on that.
Are all these banks local? Are all these banks local?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions.
I didn't hear you.
I have no further questions. That's all I had. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? All right.
Or
Teresa-
suggestions,
Teresa, is
yes.
there any big variances in what they came back with bid process-wise to what we currently have?
The only thing that is the big difference is Central Bank. Central Bank has fees on a lot of the stuff. Whereas BTC, First State Community, and Southern, they do not have any fees. Currently, the City of Boonville does not have any fees with any of the things that we need anyway. Since Central Bank is offering fees for multiple items, that's kind of a no-brainer, which would eliminate them, in our opinion. where that would kind of leave the three banks, the BTC, First State, and Southern. The only problem is which rate would you want to go with, T-bill or the federal rate? There is a percentage difference as to how much one would pay. For instance, BTC Bank, they are the T-bill rate, minus 20 points. First State Community is 80% of the federal funds target rate. And then Southern is 90% of the T-bill rate. But if you look at the T-bill rate, on what I gave you, the T-bill rate was lower by 10 points as opposed to the federal rate.
What's your next step?
We're going to do some more research to find out what we want to do. And like I said, take any of your suggestions that you have into play, because these are very competitive. And then we're going to come back with with an ordinance on the 19th, next Monday, or in 2 weeks.
Obviously, it sounds like you've already eliminated one bank.
Yes.
And I agree with that. Is there any benefit to having a bank close? I noticed just looking at First State Bank, it's across the street from City Hall.
Mm-hmm.
So is it any benefit, being able to run over there with checks at the end of the day? Any other non-negotiable benefits?
It is a benefit. I mean, it really is. I can't deny it. I mean, it's easy. If you need change, you just run across the street and get change and come right back.
Yeah, because there are sometimes we go multiple times a day.
And that's true too.
I mean, but I don't think that's gonna be.
I know it's not a deal breaker, but I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, obviously any one of the three I think would be good. They're all Boonville banks, unless there's something striking. You got to look at the very little fine details to me, and I think that might be one of them. One pro, I don't know.
Okay. Teresa, what kind of hurdles did you run into last time when you changed banks?
It is a really a big task, to be honest, because you have to look at all the different, you have to change your program. Okay, you have to change your software program, not only in utility billing, but also in GL, because they're kind of two separate systems. You have to change all your bank accounts, which we have, I want to say 5, I believe, 4 or 5. You have to change all your credit cards, your credit card companies. So for example, we have, I believe it's called Epic out at the airport. So we have to notify them of any changes. And you have to notify the state of Missouri and sometimes the federal government for all of the grants that we've received. Because a lot of this stuff we get through ACH, where it's automatic payments. And so we have several organizations that we have to notify to let them know that this has been changed. It's not a snap and it's done kind of thing. This is something that can trickle into several months, because you think you have everything done with all the different credit card companies, including your online water billing payments, your credit card swiper, Clover at the pool, all these different card companies, and you try to remember all of this stuff, and you're thinking, did I get it? And another one slips through, and it's not officially final until several months goes by. So it is a really big task.
Okay, thank you.
Who do we use to do it for water billing? Is that this bank or is that Chase?
So
for credit card online?
The online is Chase. That's for the online payments that are on the internet, and then the phone payments are also through Chase. The credit card swiper goes through First State, and they are actually our credit card provider or credit card processor provider.
I was just thinking long term if there's anything we could do with the fees from Chase, maybe to moving over to a local bank, but.
So with our software change, we are going to have to change anyway the online and the phone payments. We are having to change to go with BS&A, who takes care of that, because Chase is actually affiliated with Encode. So since we're doing that software, we have to make that change, no matter what. And unfortunately, there really isn't a way for that to be possible to go with our bank, unfortunately.
Okay, cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sounds like dominoes.
And we're switching our software in the middle of all this.
Yeah,
Just FYI.
yeah,
Busy
we are.
times at City Hall.
Anything else, Teresa?
I'm just open for any suggestions. The sooner the better, because the ordinance, like I said, will be on Monday, the 19th. So if you have a preference for a bank, I mean, you've got all the information. If you think you have a preference for a bank and you're going to say, I've been looking at this, I've been crunching the numbers, or maybe we need to just stick with this company for the next 4 years, it's up to the council, but we are open for suggestions.
Okay, good work.
All right, thank you.
No reports of standing committees. Reports of city officials. Brad, you're here for a reason, other than just to make sure I...
Making sure everything's running all right. I don't really have any official report. It did come to my attention, though, that there were some questions, maybe at the last council meeting or the council meeting before that, about public nuisances and some code enforcement issues. And one of the challenges I was tasked with when I took this position was to rework and go through the city code and kind of work my way through, modernize a lot of it. But I think I'm going to skip some chapters and focus a little bit on chapter 13, which is the one that applies to nuisances, code enforcement. I think there was a question at one time about condemnation, what existed there as far as what's in our code. So that's one of the things I've been working on behind the scenes, is reviewing chapter 13. So we've really got some definitive answers to what authority the city has and how long our reach is.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Brad, because I would like clarity on what we actually could do.
Yeah.
As we get requests from citizens or property owners or whatever.
And I've intentionally stayed back these last few things because there were some dangerous building things that were in motion before I came on, where I've advised the city a little bit about the interpretation of chapter 13, but I didn't feel it was necessary for me to intervene. But when I was reading some of that language, I think it needs to be cleaned up. So just for the council's information, chapter 13 is going to be one of the codes that I'm going to focus on right out of the gate. So
good, awesome.
Good for you. Anybody else? City councilor, city clerk.
Nothing.
Any miscellaneous?
Just a quick comment. Okay. So I was able to attend the dedication of the bust down at the Morgan Street Park on Saturday for Reverend Dr. C.T. Vivian. We had a great turnout. It was a very, very nice ceremony. So thanks to the city for doing what we did. We had bleachers and the park looked fantastic. Thanks to all the organizers for that. The Vivian family was here, kind of revisiting the roots of their family, and it was a really nice tribute to a very, 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 very good man. So thanks to everyone that got involved in that, and KRCG had a great coverage of that. If anyone would like to look at that online, they really did a nice job of showing everything that we did on behalf of the city and for the family. So a really, really nice event. So thanks to everyone that was part of that.
Well said. Teresa?
Okay, a couple of things. The tax levy was put into the paper, I want to say earlier last week. That's going to come to the council at the first and second reading on the 19th. We'll have to go ahead and get that. And then also I wanted to mention that I posted on the City of Boonville's website that we've got our loggers quote, I guess, our money out there, our, what is it called, Brad? multiplier, but it's our actuary numbers is what they are. That is posted on the website, and then that will be coming to council.
It's got to run for 45 days, and I think we
Yes.
just posted it last week.
August 2nd, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
last
something like
week.
that.
They're both, yep, Friday.
Sooner than that. I can't remember. It's posted on the City of Boonville's website, and it's got the date, so.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other miscellaneous?
I'll go ahead and bring up the airport thing, since so many lovely people came and spoke.
You need to speak up.
I'm talking right in, is this good?
There you go.
Okay, great, okay. So, I really appreciate everybody coming and speaking and sharing their opinion on the airport. I myself, as a pilot in training, have witnessed a lot of what they're talking about, and I have equal concern. And I just wanted to say to the council that this airport is also a reflection on us, too. So this is really important to me for more than one reason, not just my community, not just because I'm a pilot, but also because I'm on the city council. And I just want all of you guys to know that we have the power to improve this airport. And if anybody can actually make change, I think it is the 8 of us. So I hope that we get the ball rolling. And that's all I have.
I add to that. I think we need to discuss sometime about putting a board together out there.
I can't hear you.
Putting a board together, airport board like we used to have. I think that would be a benefit, and
Yeah, but could be a good start.
yes, I think we need to discuss putting a board
Because
together
then
sometime.
we have some leadership that can teach us. Good idea.
I guess just real quick, has any of this went to the airport administrator out there? Like, have you guys brought this to the person that runs the airport out there? What's it?
The airport manager, John Taylor.
Has it brought up to the airport manager before?
I didn't hear what you
Has some of these issues been brought up to the airport manager before?
Yes, I'm sure he's aware of it.
Okay.
I don't know what his responsibilities are.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other business to come before the council? Steve?
Motion to adjourn.
Who's got the second?
Second.
Who's got the ayes? Aye.